What's up, y'all? Ballin with Blizzy, back with another video. As of today, all 32 NFL teams, rookies and veterans, have reported to training camp, and I want to break down the top 5 storylines, in my opinion, as it relates to fantasy football and best ball drafts. So let's jump right in with number 5. The Tennessee Titans, to me, are interesting for a number of reasons. Obviously, they have number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward. But I want to talk about their running back battles and their receiving battles, specifically as it relates to their rookie wide receivers. So I have them number 5. In the backfield, you're talking about Tyjae Spears versus Tony Pollard. That's going to be huge because last year we heard that it was going to be a 50-50 split, a 1A, a 1B, and it really morphed into, throughout the course of the season, Tony Pollard being the lead back for 80% of the season. Now, down the stretch, of course, as he was battling that ankle injury, Tyjae Spears got into the mix, and he had some really useful fantasy games, especially in the best ball playoffs down the stretch. But that's something to watch, because if that flips and Tony Pollard takes a back seat, he's going higher in drafts right now. And Tyjae Spears is the cheaper piece, but he actually gets more of the work, or even a 50-50 split. He obviously has a ton of fantasy value. And then when you talk about their receiving core, Calvin Ridley, he's entrenched as the number 1. We know that. But they brought in 3 rookie wide receivers. You've got Chimere Dike, who is the first drafted of the Titans receivers. You have Alec Iomanor, who is the second of the Titans drafted receivers. And then you've got Cam Ward's college teammate, Xavier Restrepo, who was brought in as an undrafted free agent. But he, of course, has that rapport with Cam Ward from their time down there at Miami. He's trusted, and I don't think he would be there if Cam Ward wasn't the quarterback. So to see how that breaks down is going to be fascinating, in my opinion. Chimere Dike, he's a speedster. He's really smooth out of the slot. Obviously, Alec Iomanor is a bigger receiver. But then, of course, you have Xavier Restrepo, who's obviously built for the slot. So how that all hashes out, I don't know if Alec Iomanor is going to be entrenched on the outside. I don't know if Restrepo and Chimere Dike are fighting for that slot role. But you would think the upper hand would have to go to the guy that they invested draft capital in, and not Restrepo, unless he really comes on strong during camp. So that's my number 5 storyline to watch. At number 4, who is going to be the number 1 running back for the Dallas Cowboys? Obviously, they have a fantastic offensive line, and they're really going to be built through the pass. That's really where they've gone these last couple years with Mike McCarthy. Obviously, Schottenheimer has been on staff there, and so I don't think too much is going to change. But with a strong offensive line and an offense that's going to be able to move the ball through the air, and defenses are really going to have to stop the aerial attack first and foremost, I think there's a huge opportunity for whoever solidifies that starting role for the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm looking to see who's getting the most run with the ones in camp. How does that progress throughout the preseason? Who gets the first carry in preseason when the starters are out there, between Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. Now, Javonte Williams has been going way, way, way higher than Miles Sanders throughout the course of best ball summer. Javonte Williams has been right in there in that 115 to 120 range in drafts, and Miles Sanders has been round 18 or beyond, obviously going undrafted that first month or so, but he has come on strong, and he's climbed his way up into the 190s, 180s over the last month or so. So that's my number 4 storyline. Moving to number 3, who is going to be the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts? Anthony Richardson, obviously a ton of fantasy value when he plays because he's such a goal line threat and a really powerful rusher, and can obviously stack those points when he's on the field. But obviously his inaccuracies, his leadership, some of his decision making has caused them to bring in Daniel Jones. Shane Steichen has said he's looking for more consistency. Now, I don't know that Daniel Jones is the picture of consistency. We all know what he did in New York. That was really a train wreck of an era, especially after they paid him and gave him that contract extension. But if Daniel Jones wins the starting job, that's really bullish for the pass catchers. You think about Wan'Dale Robinson, those slot targets from Daniel Jones. Obviously, that's the Josh Downs role with Indianapolis. But then you also have a second-year receiver who really was prolific and expected to be a breakout last year in Adonai Mitchell. And then you have Michael Pittman, all reliable, also on the outside. Very bullish for those 3 if Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback for the start of the season or for the duration of the season, because he's a pocket passer. Yes, he's mobile and he can run, but he's a much more polished passer than Anthony Richardson. If Anthony Richardson wins the starting job, obviously you really want to start taking him in drafts, because you get him into your lineup on any given week and he can go for 25 or 30 points. However, that brings down the pass catchers, in my opinion. You can't be taking Josh Downs at 75. You can't take Michael Pittman at 95 or 100. And I'm not so sure that I believe in an Adonai Mitchell breakout if Anthony Richardson is the quarterback. So watching that play out, watching the quotes, watching how the snaps are divvied up, I think obviously most people in the best ball community think that Daniel Jones has the leg up right now, but that can all change. And Anthony Richardson is a guy you're going to want to target very furiously if he wins the starting job. Number 2, who is going to be the RB2 with the Los Angeles Rams? Last year, of course, they drafted Blake Corum. This year, of course, they drafted Jarquez Hunter. And you think about that system, McVay has heavily relied upon Kyren Williams. He believes in sort of a one-back approach. He'll feed that back. It's a very fantasy-friendly backfield to be a part of. I think Kyren is entrenched right now, but I'm intrigued with that RB2 because all summer long, it's kind of been back and forth with some people taking Blake Corum at the end of drafts. I think a few more people taking Jarquez Hunter at the end of drafts. He's the more explosive guy. I think he's the more fun guy. He's the guy that you can sort of, cross your fingers and really hope and see him exploding down the stretch of the fantasy playoffs if he's given that role. Blake Corum, a little bit more unathletic, a little bit slower, but probably more reliable in pass protection. And he's really more of that kind of Kyren blueprint, which can go one of two ways. They really like Kyren. They really trust Kyren. And it's nice to have that mold. But again, Kyren is not the fastest guy. He's not the most athletic guy, but he's reliable and you can count on him. And I think that's what you're going to get in Corum. If Jarquez Hunter wins the job, I think you can expect a lot more explosion, big plays, splash plays. And so I think watching out for how that's divvied up. Of course, 2 years ago, you remember when Kyren burst onto the scene, we kind of got tipped off in preseason because he was sitting and resting when the starters were resting. And so we knew that Sean McVay valued him and thought he was a, sort of an integral piece going into that year behind Cam Akers. This year, sort of the same thing. Who gets sort of that starter's treatment behind Kyren Williams? Who gets protected? Who looks like they're fighting for a roster spot? So I'm really keeping an eye on that number 2 running back spot with the Los Angeles Rams. And number 1, I think it's number 1 for a lot of people. What is going to happen with the Jacksonville Jaguars backfield? Tank Bigsby, great metrics last year, great efficiency. Travis Etienne, tailing efficiency, low yards per carry, really has not been the same since he had that breakout year a couple years ago. And then they bring in the speedster, the rookie from Virginia Tech, Bashal Tutin. How that's stacked up so far in best ball drafts is that Etienne has been the clear highest drafted Jacksonville Jaguars running back for about the last month or so. He's going right around 100. He's creeped his way into the 90s. Then you've got Bashal Tutin, sort of if everything goes right and they give this guy the bulk of the carries and he takes over. A lot of people are talking about Bucky Irving comps from last year. Liam Cohen turned him into a star during his rookie season. Can Bashal Tutin do that? And then being drafted way after those two is Tank Bigsby, who I think really has a great chance to win the starting job. I mean, you look at his numbers, he hasn't done anything to say that he doesn't deserve a crack at it. He's really the top in a lot of the metrics, a lot of the efficiency dating back to last year. He came on strong after a really, a poor rookie season where he struggled quite a bit. Tank Bigsby's the guy that I've been taking just because he's the cheapest. And if things go right and he proves that he is the best running back in that backfield, obviously we've been getting an outstanding value on him, but that remains to be seen. It's a 3-headed monster, so it's really, really tricky now. But I think we're going to learn a lot over the course of camp and figure out how Liam Cohen sees this backfield stacking up, this pecking order in terms of the running back position. And I think it's going to be super fantasy friendly. You saw last year, not only Bucky Irving having a really good year, but Liam Cohen was able to design things for Rachaad White in the screen game. He played a lot of third downs. And I think whoever really solidifies themselves as either the 1 or the 1A in this backfield is going to be able to put up a lot of fantasy points in 2025. So the Jacksonville Jaguars storyline is my number 1 training camp storyline to watch in terms of their running back position. If you have something that you're looking forward to in training camp that you think I missed and is going to really have a ripple effect in NFL best ball drafts the rest of this summer, let me know in the comments below.